Jeff Brown is a geopolitical analyst who joins us. Jeff Brown, welcome to the program. The 12-point plan that China introduced to the Russian President Vladimir Putin seems to be something that, though received well, is not something that Russia feels it's applicable at this time. Is it because of the lack of will by the Ukraine and whoever's behind it, which we know is the U.S. and NATO countries, or is it because Russia doesn't feel like it's obtained what it needs to in its offensive or special military operation in Ukraine?
I think that Russia realizes China's doing this as a goodwill gesture to support Russia in its initiative in Ukraine. There are things that Russia would not agree with in the 12-point plan. There are things that Ukraine would not agree with in the 12-point plan. But you know, the President Orban of Hungary supported it, and it has gotten a good reception outside of the what I call Euranglo land, you know, the West and Israel. So it has been a success from a diplomatic and media standpoint for China.
But don't you think that what China did, whether the 12 points are all in agreement or not in agreement, or some of them are in agreement, would be a good starting point for both sides to maybe sit down, try to iron some things out if possible? I mean, that's what negotiations are all about. And at the same time, perhaps give a pause, what they call a ceasefire, though not a permanent one, of course, but a limited one. But there's no appetite, it seems, from either side, right?
Absolutely, that's diplomacy. That's negotiation. You put your propositions on the table, and the red line is you do not transgress my core interests, and the other side says you do not transgress my core interests. Unfortunately, at least for Ukraine, their core interests are violated by it, because China is suggesting that Russia basically keep the eastern third of Ukraine east of the Dnieper River. So that's not going to work. But yeah, again, it's just, but Kiev is being told by Washington, do not talk. And it's not going to happen until they run out of arms, and that's happening pretty fast in the West, while the Russians can build 10 times as many weapons in the same amount of time as NATO.
Final question here, it's not really about this peace plan that China proposed. What is it going to take for Kiev and Washington to realize when it comes to the transfer of weapons or military aid that they did all they could, but they just couldn't beat Russia? I mean, they're asking for F-16 fighter jets now. I mean, what more are they going to ask for so that they can go at it and see whether it works or not, and then realize, well, we either got to stop, we won, or we got defeated?
Well, I would say that the NATO, the generals, and the American Joint Chiefs of Staff are absolutely delusional. Either that, or they're putting up a good face for the public by saying we're winning and Russia's losing, and this is an existential battle between the West, basically, and the East, Iran, Russia, DPRK, China, and the global majority versus the NATO, global minority, what I call Euranglo land, Israel, and the West. So they're running out of weapons, and that's why Russia is just taking its sweet time, just barely moving forward, as they exhaust all of the arms supplies that the West has, and I think it's pretty funny to watch it happen.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Jeff Brown, geopolitical analyst from Normandy. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you.